So we've been working with mobile drip for the last 10 years. We have 3 systems that are on mobile drip. And we backed away from it a little bit and got back involved with it because I feel like it's something that we really need to look into. It's not going to fit everybody. It's not a silver bullet answer to everything. And the gains are just marginal at best when you compare it to LIPA. So ours are set up on anywhere from 2.5 gallons to 3 gallons. When you get above 3 gallons, I don't think it works very well because you're competing then with the efficiencies of LIPA. But if you get down below, if you get 2.5 or below, I think this is where this is its niche, and I think it can really pay off. I don't have a lot of data like Dr. Day did, but I've got a lot of pictures, and just some of the comparisons I'm given are through university studies from Texas, Kansas, and Nebraska, so I wanted to share those with you. First of all, why producers are looking at mobile drip. We all know that our wells are getting worse. We're all deficit irrigators for the most part. Who here is not a deficit irrigator? Okay. Wind degrading sprinkler performance. Wind is always a big issue when it comes to irrigation, especially when you're pre-watering. One of the biggest practices, or one of the most important practices that we use is pre-water. We have to pre-water because we're big deficit irrigators and we're still corn growers. So in this time of year, this is where and I'll show you some pictures where I think this is where the big payoff is. Runoff on tighter crusted soils. One of the things that Nick brought up is you're spreading your water out over a distance instead of dumping it all in one spot. Even with LIPA bubbler, you're concentrating all your water in one row. If you're on 30s or on 60s, it's even more water. This gives you an opportunity to spread that water out over the row, and you're not ponding any water, so you're losing very little to evaporation loss. And also need for consistency, not record yields. What is mobile drip irrigation? Instead of sprinklers spraying water through the air, flexible drip line or drag hoses are attached to each pivot drop, delivering water directly onto or just above the surface. It's not buried subsurface irrigation. It moves with the pivot. What university research shows, both LIPA and mobile drip irrigation are high efficiency systems. Mobile drip irrigation typically tests 2 to 5% in higher efficiency. Benefits show up under deficit irrigation and in tight soils. In our particular area, we have a lot of tight soils with good water holding capacity. The challenge is getting the profile full, especially during a windy time of year. These are some of the studies by AgriLife. This is from Dr. Porter, Trossel, and Baker. What they found was LIPA application efficiency commonly measured at 90 to 95%. Mobile drip, not that much more, 95 to 98%. Now this is just an application efficiency, but there's other gains that you can achieve by using mobile drip. The difference is driven by reduced runoff on tight or crusted soils, lower instantaneous application rates, improved uniformity under deficit irrigation. In conclusion, what they came up with, drip line or drag hose systems attached to pivots can slightly improve application efficiency and uniformity compared to LIPA, particularly on soils prone to runoff or under low well capacity. Important, AgriLife emphasizes that both are high efficiency systems and that the advantage of mobile drip is situational, not universal. It's a conservative, district safe position for them to take. K-State did their studies also. Dr. Rogers and Dr. Dummer, their findings were basically the same. Efficiency, excellent efficiency from runoff risk on silt loam, clay loam soils. That's kind of our soil type is in our particular area. And the biggest gain is like you're spreading that water out. You're not creating basins like we used to. I think Nick showed some pictures. We used to have drag hoses with a sock on them, and you could see where you're pooling water and you're leaving yourself for evaporation loss. Slightly higher measured efficiency is just 2 to 3%. Better water distribution uniformity. As most of you know, if you looked at your sprinkler packages, your nozzle packages, when you get down to about 300 gallons, your first few spans are like number 4s, or all the same number. And so you're either overwatering or underwatering. And with drip irrigation, for mobile drip irrigation, it allows you to spread that water more uniform throughout your pivot. One of the pivots that we have, incidentally, is a half miler, and Nick gets a windshield wipe.
Worst of all worlds.
I know, but we've been able to make it work. So, and I'll show you some pictures. So it's so far so good. And like I said, we've gone back and forth on this, but I really like this technology, and I think it will have a fit for us in the future. Dragline drip, you get reduced runoff, a slightly higher measured effective efficiency, better water distribution again through your pivot, especially when you get down to these low gallonages, like 3 gallons per acre or lower, and some even down to 1.5. We know the direction that we're going, guys, so I think this is something you want to really look at. Other than underground drip, which is a Cadillac. I heard a friend of mine say, well, the underground drip is the Cadillac, and this is like a cheap Chevrolet. But there's a big difference in the cost that you pay to get it installed. Lost my place here. Typical reported efficiency ranges for LIPA 90 to 95%, mobile drip 95 to 98%, almost like they found here in Texas. K-State stresses the management and soil type matter more than hardware alone. Again, aligning your well with conservative. This is supposed to be farming. This is the Lincoln study. Again, LIPA produces very high efficiency, but with high localized application rates. Drag hose, again, one of the differences in the two, what gives a little bit of, makes dragging or mobile drip a little bit better, is that you're not concentrating all your water in one spot. You're able to spread it out through the row. Reduce runoff on heavier soils, improve distribution uniformity, show more consistent soil moisture under deficit irrigation. The University of Nebraska publications often state low elevation drip or drags hose systems can improve uniformity and reduce runoff compared to LIPA under certain soil and slope types. In conclusion, University Extension studies show both LIPA and mobile drip are high efficiency pivot systems. Mobile drip typically measures 2 to 5% points higher application efficiency and improved uniformity, particularly on soils prone to runoff or under deficit irrigation. The conversion does not increase consumption use, but can reduce gross inches required to achieve the same net application because of the efficiency that is gained. Main benefits of mobile drip irrigation. This is what we have found: improves placement, reduces runoff, and increases uniformity. These are just the main things that you're gaining efficiency on, not just application efficiency, but runoff risk and also distribution uniformity. These are some of just the nuances between the two. The application efficiency, there's a slight gain with mobile drip. The wind drift evaporation, I would say on mobile drip, is very, very, very low. Not just very low. They have them even here, but I think there's a lot to be gained, especially on a hot, windy day. Runoff risk, moderate with LIPA, low with mobile. We'll just go through the others. Deficit irrigation performance, good with LIPA, very good with the mobile drip. Yield response, they're just comparable. Capital cost is one thing that stands out. On mobile drip, it's going to be considerably higher than it is using LIPA. Some of the advantages of mobile drip over LIPA: great for systems with low irrigation capacity, Some of this stuff is redundant. Less than 3 GPM. It's best suited for low evaporation loss during pre-water when windy until crop canopy. Studies show the evaporation loss account for 20 to 30% of total ET. Better infiltration, even distribution of water across sprinkler is better because you just don't have all these small nozzles that distributed out over more in your sprinkler. Little to no sprinkler tracks. This is a big plus. You will not have any sprinkler tracks with mobile drip. Little to no sprinkler. Challenges, more management, a lot more hardware on the sprinkler versus LIPA. You have to contend with rodent damage. I will show you some pictures of some things that they recommend. Very important to keep emitters from plugging from sand and or iron bacteria. This can be a challenge. This is one of the things that we've had to fight with over the last couple of years, but I think we're on top of that now. Cost of mobile drip is higher than LIPA. When mobile drip does not make sense, flat or sandy soils, strong wells, poor infiltration or water quality, or low, if you don't have a tolerance for maintenance, well, this is probably not going to work. I know more people that have taken this system off than have bought it in our immediate area. And I feel like it has a fit. Some good pictures of one of the advantages of a mobile drip. You can see back a long time ago, I don't know if they're still using this practice in the South Plains, but it used to be pretty common, where you would drag hose with a sock on it and furrow diking. I don't know of anybody that furrow dikes anymore, but this is a great method back in the day. But again, you're ponding water, you're leaving yourself open for evaporation loss. Same way with this LIPA picture down below. You've got water ponding. You're getting a little bit of drift off your nozzles, so you're losing some of the evaporation, you're losing some water due to the drift. This is double bubbler. We have some of these systems on 30s. Really, really efficient. If you have over 3 gallons per minute or 3 gallons per acre, up to 5 or 6, this is a great application way to apply your water. We have several of these systems and we really like these, but this is on higher GPMs. It's a picture of a strip till field right before getting ready to pre-water. Just wanted to let you see what it looks like. This is while we're pre-watering it, you see very little ponding at all. It will spread the water out, and you're not losing anything to evaporation. You're not losing anything to wind loss. Just, this is where, to me, it really pays off. This is, I don't know how good, you can see that all the water's percolating into the soil, no ponding. Just, this is where I think it really has its place with mobile drip. Able to run your rows right down the strip. Just, again, high application efficiency, a little bit of ponding here, great residue. It's just, this is an ideal situation. We have run our mobile drip on straight rows. The only issue with it is that you need to do a lot of pre-water, maybe make one more pass, because you want to make sure you get those strips wet, because it will percolate or run down the strip. But if you think you're going to water the crop up, it's not going to work, because you're going to leave some dry spots. Bailey, this is a video. Can you? This is a real windy day, as you can see, and I think it illustrates how efficient this is, especially when you're pre-watering on a windy day. Just no loss due to wind. Of course, you're going to get a little bit of evaporation loss, but this is perfect. This is why the system will work. This is again another shot on straight rows that we're putting everything in a circle this year and getting away from the straight rows. This works, and we've done this several years in a row, and it's fine. But it requires a little bit more pre-watering so you're planting the moisture. You can't water anything up this way. This is a shot of back, again, just with a drag hose and a sock. You can see the furrow dikes. Again, you're ponding water, you lose a little bit to evaporation. But this, back in the day, this is a great method, and I'm sure some people are still using it. But it's not the same as mobile drip in that you have an emitter, which you're able to spread that water out. You're not just concentrating on this at one location. This is a filtering system down at the pivot. This is very important. We're using a sand filter and also a cartridge filter. Goes to the sand filter, cyclone filter first. Initially we weren't using a cyclone filter, we were just trying to capture everything in a cartridge. But I advise you using a cyclone filter that helps get a lot of the sand out that might be in the system. Another shot of the filter system. Now this is something that we had to learn the hard way. I mean, you can filter the water from your well and from the main line, but if you have dirt inside your system at startup time, we had a sprinkler go down and we had to change several joints of pipe out, and we had to do a very good job of cleaning the pipe out before we put it up. And pull the end cap of it off, and it was full of dirt. So you want to make sure you clean, you flush your sprinkler out also. This is, obviously your filtering system's not going to get this out. You're going to have to flush this out. This is kind of what they recommend with the mobile drip irrigation, is tying up your drip tape in the wintertime. This is a laborious process, and we did this one year. We're not doing it anymore. We're just leaving them lay down, and we're just going to fix our leaks. And Nathan's got some ideas on that we've been listening to on how to keep the rodents away from them. So we're going to implement that instead of trying to tie this line up like this.
It's pretty hard to go in there and cultivate and plant around those long lines, or you just move them out?
No,
of
you
the way?
just move them out of the way. That's not. We just need to make sure that everybody knows that they're there before they start doing any tillage, because we have gotten into them before. Again, this is a laborious process. This isn't something we're going to do again.
But if you're trying to graze cattle, you'd probably have to do that. fence
Well,
out
yeah,
the way.
no, that's a good point, Marcel. I didn't think about that. Yeah, if you're going to graze cattle, that's probably something you want to do. I think I would fence it off.
We always. They even need to. Take a whole lot less time with
Took these pictures last year. This is in season after a hailstorm. You can see the drip line, the drop running through the corn rows. Good corn crop. It could have been a lot better crop before the hail. We just wanted to show what it looks like in season. This is pre-water again. This is again where the big payoff is, in my opinion, where you're getting a lot of efficiency. That's the dairy in the background.
So that line runs on your guy?
Yeah, this is a manifold system that runs underneath the main line, a cable system, a trolley that you can move your drip line back and forth so that you can move it in between the rows or off. If you want to water your crop up, you can leave it down below where your strip is, and then in season you can move it over. But I think, and I'll show you some pictures, that's any systems we put from this point on. I'm not sure we're going to use this trolley system. We have it on 2. It's just a lot of hardware you got to put on the pit. It's more expensive. We have one system, we're just running straight off the goosenecks off the main line. And the thought being is that you want these things to run down the bottom of the furrow, which is great, but inevitably, even when you have them lined up perfectly, in a good corn crop, a leafy corn crop, these lines will pick up a leaf and they'll ride up on top of it, on top of the can, or on the side of the leaf. This is kind of the ways ours is set up. It's got a cable, it's got a boom line underneath, and this gives us the ability to move these things back and forth. I'm not sure that that's necessary. In season, drip line down the bottom of the furrow. This is a great shot. Again, this is after the hailstorm. I'll go. This is where they ride up next to the stalk, and you walk into the field, and it's like a rainforest here. I don't know how much we're losing to evaporation loss. I think very little. You know, I think it's better than you compare it to a drop with a spray head on it that's hanging up on a stalk, and then pendulums over, and you have a dry spot in the field. This just kind of drags through the corn. Just the water just runs right down the stalk and right into the plant line. It's not this way in every row, but some of them ride up and some of them don't. Just if it grabs a leaf, it'll eventually just start riding up. I've just put this picture here. You can see the loss. This isn't really LIPA. That's more, I guess, Lisa. But you can see the water evaporation loss you're losing from wind versus the dragon line, where you're not losing any water at all. This is a great picture, great comparison. You can put your spray nozzles on your drops if you prefer. If you want to incorporate your herbicide, we have one set up like this, and I think we've used it 1 year, and basically we're just relying on our drip line. Another shot. This is just basically what it looks like, a drop coming off the main line, drip line hanging off the drops, going in between the rows. Just another comparison shot between drip line and spray nozzles. Another in-season shot. You can see the drip line running between the rows, running up against the stalk. Again, so some of them do and some of them don't. Another in-season shot, you can see just riding up against the stalk.
Do you have that problem with the LIPA then, or also?
We do, because we're not lining. One year you're lined up, and some years you aren't. Just if you're moving over, if you're strip tilling and you're moving over 15 inches, 1 year you're going to be lined up, next year you won't be. But in this case, because you have the drip line, you're spreading that water out, and you're not having a spray head hanging up on a stalk, spraying up in here, or even if you have it in a bubble mode, you have sometimes they'll hang up, like I said, in a pendulum over. I'm sure you guys have seen that. Just another shot at the end of the drip line. This picture taken last year, and we thought Steve this was going to be his last year.
It is this year.
No, come on now, Steve. Anyway, that's my presentation. Do you have any questions?
So on the windshield wiper, how big of a hassle is it to back up or go back around?
It's not really. You have to make sure that the sprinkler comes completely out of the crop before it turns around, and so we don't have anything kinky.
So if you're like up against a highway or road, you're gonna be dragging all them back to the edge or leave that.
Yeah, sure, you leave it big enough area that you're not planting, so it's coming out of the crop, there's no crop there, they can come back in and go back in.
It's a little turnaround time.
You have to have turnaround time. Otherwise, they'll hang up on a corn stalk and get the hose.
Tear your deal off all the way down.
Yeah, pull all that hardware off, yeah. We haven't had that happen yet.
Keep your fingers.
Anyway, I think this, possibly has a good future. We're looking into it to, make some conversions as our irrigation capacity continues to drop off.
Do you think it will hang up less where you're going in circle planting or versus going straight across?
They still have a tendency, even when you're going in a circle, and that's what we prefer. We have 2 quarter-mile pivots that just go in a circle, but invariably, they'll just start, some of them will start riding up. You can get in there, move them back down, and move them back down, and they'll be centered up at the bottom of the furrow, and they'll pick up a leaf and just start riding up on there.
A circle's not a circle either.
Yeah, some of you,
There's only
some of them off a little bit.
a little bit.
But that doesn't happen until you get later on up in the deal.
Later on,
where you got
it's-
plenty of canopy to
Exactly.
kind of contain all
Once you get
that.
canopied over, your evaporation losses are just next to nothing.
How does it work in wheat?
Works good in wheat. We haven't had too many wheat crops under drip. We don't grow a lot of irrigated wheat anymore. But it works good in sorghum silage, which is basically the same. And sorghum silage gets, 8, 9 feet tall. And so they'll ride up on the sorghum silage, but they'll just drip down the stalk. So we haven't had any issue with that.